Hello guys, welcome to ôKAMI Sigma. In today's video, we're gonna make a sculptures base stand. Okay, here I have something that I've already worked on, and I've been working on this Buddha statue for a while. It's one of my hobbies. So this one is already dried, but we're gonna I'm gonna show you uh, what it looks like when it's dried, and later on we're gonna go ahead and go through the process of making the base stand. Okay, so I'd probably make a couple of videos for this because I really like sculpting because it's very relaxing, and also I kind of go on a meditative state whenever I'm doing the sculptures. Of course, all kinds of creative endeavors have this effect on us humans. So it's a great way to spend some quality time for yourself. Okay, so I've removed the mold, and I'm checking, removing some of the excess material on my sculpture. And I'm checking for bubbles or holes, and some gaps to see where they're located and identify them early, and so I can repair them and do some touch ups. Okay, so far there are a few bumps here and some bubbles on the side, so we're gonna have to cover them up, and I'm gonna have to reinforce the base stand. Okay, so I've already made the sculpture assembly, so I just need the base stand because it's kind of not looking good underneath. So I need a very smooth finish. Okay, for this base stand. Okay, so this aluminum foil is just here to catch some of the uh, excess materials, and I'm a very efficient guy, so I don't like wasting materials. So whatever excess there, we're gonna use that later. I'll show you what I'll do with it. Now this is regular plastic, acrylic plastic. I just cut a strip, two strips to make a circle. Okay, and I have a square base. Now, it's a recycled material that I'm using. This came from my birthday cake packaging, the one that my daughter made. So I'm reusing it so that we're kind of environmentalist here. So I've also improved a little bit on my technique in making molds. Shout out to my polymer products teacher for teaching me the works. But I'm not a paid ad, by the way, not a sponsored video. Uh, and I've developed a technique of mine so that I can easily start with without using modeling clay. So you usually use modeling clay for making the base. Now here I am. I'm using a material called white cement. So white cement is a great base because it's very strong. It leaves a good finish, and because it has lime in it, it's very sturdy and it's quick to dry. So it's a very good material for the base, and it's also easy to uh, amend or uh, do touch-ups using this material. Now, between the regular cement and the plaster of Paris, for the base, I prefer this material because it's very sturdy. Now I've mixed two parts of uh, two parts of white cement and one part of water, and that's the mixture here. Here I am removing. There's uh, some dirt out there, so we gotta remove that. So so it's important that we mix thoroughly but slowly. Okay, not too fast. Okay, just right, because we don't want too much bubbles. If air comes when you mix, air comes in to the mixture and it creates bubbles. Okay, so we don't stir too hard. Now here's my technique. So I'm not using any. Okay, so I got my mixture here and I'm putting it on the side of the acrylic. So this is my technique. So the plastic is not taped on the plastic ring is not taped on the base plastic, and I'm trying to kind of seal the bottom part of the plastic with this mixture. Now this mixture is a little bit thick, so that it won't seep through the other side. It might seep, but it's okay, a little bit, so that it will seal the ring. Okay, so I'm going out on each on all of the sides. So I'm tapping in small amounts first. Okay. All right. So it's very relaxing to do this. Um, Maybe I'll show you on the next videos how I assembled the sculpture, um, and some modeling tips. Okay. So I used to do 3D modeling with graphics, but I then I figured I was curious with regards to uh, modeling in real modeling. So in the three instead of just modeling in the software in 3D software using AutoCAD or some like 3D Studio Max or some Python based software, I got curious, so I took a certification. So I'm a certified artist. So I took a certification to study this art. And shout out to my teacher in polymer products. So he's a very, very nice and very, very well experienced teacher. So um, he taught us a lot of techniques and tricks and tips. Now I'm developing my techniques now, um, and putting it into practice. So we're gonna fill in with the remainder of the material. We're gonna fill in the center. So it's not gonna be very thick. So it's just a thin layer. So what we're doing is we're just sealing off the sides of the circle so that it would be the container of the material. Okay, and then the center, I'm just dabbing in a few of the cement, just so that it would have a very smooth base. Okay, because we don't want too much material because it might become so heavy later on. So we're gonna start with a thin coating, probably less than an inch. Okay, less than an inch. It might be a few, just a few centimeters or millimeters. Sorry. Now I'm using the excess material, like the powder on my, the aluminum catcher that I made. So the mat that I have here, so there's a lot of excess material. So it's in powder form and some debris. So I'm sprinkling it on top. So the idea here is for the material to absorb the water quickly, and the water in the mixture, the cement mixture, will be absorbed by the powdered material, making it faster to uh, dry. Okay, so we're gonna set that aside for now and wait for it to dry a little bit. Okay, we're gonna make a mixture, another mixture, so that we can do touch-ups on the latest, the one that I've already created the base for. So we're gonna touch up the base. So again, 2 parts cement, 1 part water. That's the standard mixture. Okay. So I think I'm running low on material here. Okay, but we're gonna magic that later and fill in this bottle. Okay, okay. So that's the 2 parts, and then here's the 1 part water. So I'm just using a plastic cup measure. Okay, and then my mixing bowl there is just a regular Tupperware, and my mixer is just your ordinary popsicle stick. Okay, so some of the tools that I got there is just a paintbrush and a sculpting tool, a wire tool, and a flat tip. Okay, so for now it serves its function. So I don't, um, as you can see, I'm very simplified with regards to my work area. So the only thing that I will need is on the table. Uh, okay, so I'm adding a little bit more because I think I missed a few marks when with the measurement earlier. Okay, and there you go. Okay. So again, when mixing the material, mix it very slowly. Okay, very slowly. Don't let too much air come in. Now, if bubbles start to form in the mixture, try to mix side to side, and then press the bubbles on the edge, on the plastic, just to pop the bubbles. So the bubbles, we don't want the bubbles because when air gets into the material, it creates gaps, and these gaps doesn't make a smooth texture. Okay, so doesn't make a smooth surface. So we don't want too much rework on the or too much touch-ups. So now, um, I'm covering. Okay, I'm putting material on the side. Now, okay, so I'm just using the popsicle stick here. Uh, I'm covering the bubbles on top of the base because there are bubbles. Okay, so there are small bubbles, tiny bubbles. You know that song? It's a Hawaiian song, Tiny Bubbles. Anyway, now here, on the side, I saw some holes, so I'm patching that up as well. Okay, so I'm patching that up. All right. It reminds me of baking with my daughter with a spatula. Uh, anyway, that's another art, but she's more into that. I'm more into this. Okay, so now I'm trying to even out, just to even out the sides. Now, when I'm applying the material, I make sure that it's covering the side of the sculpture. This also gives it reinforcement to attach the base firmly to the sculpture. Okay, all right. So on this sculpture, you can see a koi fish. Okay, and then we have a lotus flower, and then we have a meditating Buddha, and the other one, the one with a hole, it's actually my version of the well, uh, my inspiration of the Mount Fuji. Okay, it's Mount Fuji, but uh, since we're lacking in space on the platform, so I kind of shaped it like that. Okay, so it's the sculpture is kind of semi well, it's kind of Japanese inspired. Okay, the concept, um but it's very simple design. Now this sculpture would look very nice on a tabletop. Okay, um okay, you can use it either you want to, put some incense on top of Mount Fuji, light up an incense on top of there, or you can light up a an oil lamp on the space wherein the koi and the lotus is formed. So those are my intentions for this in terms of this sculpture in terms of functionality, because I don't make things that you know that don't serve a purpose. So whatever, as Musashi would say, never do anything that is unnecessary. So aside from the aesthetic design of this sculpture, I figured it would be great to just put at least two functionalities. Okay, so esoterically, so we have uh, like at least four elements here um, that I can count on my design. Of course, we have Earth. Okay, with the Mount Fuji there, and do we have five? I think I was thinking of a feng shui elemental chart. So I was thinking of the lotus being the wood element, the koi being the water element, and Mount Fuji as the earth element. And then what else? Of course, when you put some incense or put oil lamp here, that's the fire element, which is great. And of course, the Buddha is spirit, uh, which is the divine energy that is within us. So if you notice, I place some aura on the background. Okay, that would represent the pranic body or the energetic body and the etheric body of the Buddha. So some additional info here for you. Okay, so since you're watching this video, and Okami Sigma is all about higher consciousness, so I want that to reflect my art, reflect my work. So well, it's you can consider that as earth magic. Okay, so working with the elements with your art form is it's a very good practice. Okay, all right. It's good for your mind, and the activity is healing for your soul. Okay, so I think I'm on a bad angle here with this camera because you could hardly see what I'm working on. I wish I could just zoom in for this for the part of the touch up, but of course I'm gonna need both hands to make this work unless someone else holds the camera for me. I can put it over the shoulder, but there's a tendency for me to knock the camera down, so I just place it in front or on the side. Um, so basically, this is okay. This is very basic sculpting. Okay. All right. So I use the flat side of my popsicle stick to remove excess material, and now I'm using a sculpting tool, the flat tip, to to patch a hole on the side. Okay, and now yeah, I'm flattening it out so that the side of the material can cover the holes on the side of the base. Okay, having fun here. All right, yeah. There's some material at the bottom, so we're removing that and still working on the side. Just light, gentle touch up. No need, no effort. Not much. That's a good thing about sculpting. It takes a least amount of effort to get the results that you want, and that makes it very relaxing. Okay. The only thing here is if if you're working with a piece like this, it's kind of heavy. You notice my right hand is holding the sculpture, and it kind of gets heavy over time. All right. Okay. I think I've almost covered the whole thing. All right. Okay. Some adjustments. All right. So, all right. I'm done with the sides. Okay. I'm just trying to maximize my material here and make sure that I use all of it. So I'm scraping off the bottom of the barrel, so to speak. Okay. And so I don't know about you guys. So comment down below if you have you're an experienced sculptor, or you're just beginning, a beginner artist. Okay, I would like to know. All right. Okay, so I'm mixing another batch. Okay, so here we're gonna mix material so that we can put it on the base that we did earlier. Okay, again, all right, just tidying up a little bit here. Okay, and then again, 1 part water, 2 parts material, 1 part water. Okay. At first, I struggled with. I actually experimented with a couple of materials. I started from plaster of Paris, regular sorry, I think I started with the regular cement, and then plaster of Paris, and then I worked my way to white cement. And I struggled really hard to get that particular consistency on my mixtures. Uh, at first it was hit or miss. So uh, I kind of tried to, for each material, I tried to get what is in the middle ground of the mixture. So I discovered that 2 parts of the material and then 1 part of the water uh, in the mixture works very well for all 3 types. So okay, so I put a standard, so I got myself a measuring cup for those particular purposes. Now here I'm transferring the material at the center of our base. So this material, I'm not smoothing it out. I'm just distributing it from the center outward because it would serve as an adhesive to attach our sculpture to the base. That's what we're doing here. So I'm emptying the container. Okay. All right. So again, we're making sure that it's not too thick because that's why I'm distributing it equally on the surface because I don't want earlier when I was doing my first trials, I wound up with a very thick base, which I had so many layers on it, and it became very heavy. It looked great, but it was heavy, and we don't want, you know, let's say if you're gonna transfer it from one area to another, at least the very least, it's a light sculpture. If you're making something like for home decor, uh, if the sculpture is too heavy, the tendency for accidents, for you to drop it or, because it's too heavy. So I want a sculpture that's light and easy to move around the house. So if it's on the tabletop, it's not it doesn't take the strength of a bear to lift your sculpture. Okay, so I'm just distributing it. Okay, so I'm aiming for uh, something like would serve as an additional piece on an altar, or let's say if you have a yoga area, you know, this would be great if you want to put some incense on there, or a lamp. If it's incense, you can put it on your yoga area, and then if you're going to use it as a lamp, an oil lamp, you can put it in your altar, or both, uh, whichever you prefer. Okay, so this is the idea that I have. Okay, for this particular sculpture. All right, now I place the sculpture right at the center. Okay, very carefully. This is a make or break. Okay, all right, moving it ever so slightly because I had instances wherein I was just moving the sculpture in a dry area, in the drying area, and then it broke in the middle. So I learned my lesson not to, be reckless in moving my piece. Okay, all right. Let's put it aside. Let it dry a bit. So once the sculpture is sticking firmly to the base, we can finish that up later, and I'll show it to you later. Now, this one, the touch up that I did is a little bit dry, so I'm using a paintbrush, okay, to remove the bubbles on the side, and also smoothen out the gap between the dry surface and the wet surface. Flatten it out. Why? So that it would be seamless, you know. And then once I do the sanding, it looks like the base and the sculpture are just one piece. That's the idea here. So that's what I'm doing. Okay, so apart from removing the bubbles, I'm smoothing out the integration. Okay, so this is a brush that I just wet with regular water. Okay, no paint in it, no solvent, just water. Okay, no special solvents here. So we're just popping up the bubbles and smoothing out the edges. Okay, now I do that with my fingers, but it's gonna squish the material. So okay, at this point, we're just making sure that the bubbles are out. Okay, I'm using a wire tool to remove excess material. So as I remove it, it becomes smooth because of the metal surface of the wire. Okay, so that's how you use this tool. Uh, Wish I could do a more close up here, but I think you know what I mean. Okay, all right. So now it's time for the fingers. The magic begins. The magic fingers. So you just wet your fingertips with a little bit of water and work your way through around your sculpture and feel the surface. So as you skim through the surface, you smoothen out the uneven parts. Okay, so this way, sanding would be a breeze. It would be a lot easier to sand because when it dries, the surface is already smooth and you'll get less uneven surface. Now, and then the material would also settle down with the water that's on your fingertips. So it becomes really smooth. Okay. But of course, it still needs to be sanded. Okay. But it's this, I'm doing this so that the material would be snug uh, and even on the sculpture. Okay. This is also fun. I'm enjoying myself when I do this part, when I do this bit. Yeah, when you start to feel uh, your art taking shape, and it's right on your fingertips. Okay, so this is a great feeling. Okay, I can guarantee you that you will enjoy. Okay, doing this. Okay, so this requires gentleness. So, coming from me, who's a martial artist, okay, so this actually trains you to be calm and graceful. Okay, so calm and graceful. That's what this technique does to you. Okay, and besides, it's very satisfying to smoothen out things. Okay, so with my personality, I like to smoothen out things sometimes, but not all the time. Sometimes I just leave it alone and then leave it to dry. Okay, all right. Enough of my kidding around. Okay, so we just want the conversation, this one-sided conversation, to be interesting. Okay, so here I am, still at it. Okay, all right. So I noticed that there are certain bubbles on the sculpture in itself and some uneven surfaces. So I took the liberty of checking them out and using my fingers to do its magic. Okay, all right. So that's what I'm doing here, and I'm covering the sculpture in itself and what I'm doing. Okay, nobody's perfect. The blocking in this video is a mess. Anyway, all right. Okay, so you know, yeah. So whatever bubbles or unsmooth surface I could find, I just dip my fingers on the remaining material and swish, and it's like applying ointment or lotion. To be honest. Okay, but it's so satisfying. It's so satisfying, I can tell you that. Or for some of you who can relate, it's like applying Vicks Vapor Rub. Okay, so my Mount Fuji needs a little bit of a touch up because there are some, you know, surfaces here. Okay, so I really enjoyed this sculpture when I was creating it. It took me a while, just putting the materials together. And the thing with the sculpture making, it requires a lot of patience. Why? Because sometimes you become so excited with your art, and then you just want it to finish. You just want to finish it in one day. But that with sculpture, it doesn't happen that way. You're gonna have to wait for it to dry. Now, certain materials dry in certain you know environments faster. Okay, now with cement, you'd probably wait for at least 8 hours to 13 hours for it to fully cure. Um, but I would suggest to just keep it in a dry place, and don't put it under the sun. I've experimented on plaster of Paris, uh, regular cement, and white cement. And if you put it under the sun, it becomes really brittle, and there's a lot of cracks that will show on your sculpture. Um, so if I wouldn't suggest to put it under the sun, just so that you can dry it quickly, especially um, if you're aiming for a smooth surface. Now, on occasion, the cracks will appear, but that's because that's the water in your sculpture trying to find its way out. Okay, but at the very least, keep it at the minimal. To keep it at the minimal, just dry your sculpture in a shaded and dry place. Yeah, that's a good tip. Okay, so I think we're done with this one. So I'm gonna just oh, some magic there. Something disappeared. Okay, editing magic. Okay, so I got another sculpture that's already dried. Okay, for demonstration purposes. So basically, I'm working with three sculptures at the same time. Wow. Talk about efficiency, huh? Okay. So here I've prepared my sandpaper. Okay, so I'm starting from the bottom. Now we're here. No, okay. Of course, we'll start from the bottom, work our way to the sides, and on top. Okay, so that was pretty quick. No, that was fast forward. It's called editing magic. Anyway, so I'm just taking out all of the stuff that I have around and just concentrating. So clean up your workspace. Okay, and check the material. See if try to target the surfaces that you want to work on. You know, it's a so I'm gonna remove some of the excess material at the bottom. Some of the patchworks that I did, and make sure that the surface is even, because we want this to be laying flat on the table, not shaky, not unbalanced. Of course, if you're going to put some incense on top of it or some oil, you don't want it to be wobbly or wonky, as the British would say. Anyway, so I'm working on the side and the top. Okay, so just wiping off the powdered material. This is also satisfying, I can guarantee. You will enjoy doing this. Especially after sanding, you just move your hands around your sculpture and scrape off all of those excess powdered materials. Okay, so with the tool that I'm using, it's just a regular 2000 grit sandpaper. Actually, I use the sandpaper for sharpening my sword, removing rust from my sword. But um, I'm using it right now to sand this sculpture. Now, what I did was I got a piece of for better handling of the tool. I used a piece of styrofoam and kind of wrapped it around like sushi. Okay, wrapped around the sandpaper like sushi on the like what do you call that? You know that seaweed wrap. Okay, so I wrapped around the sandpaper, and inside of it is a piece of styrofoam. So it's squishy, manageable, and shapeable. Okay, so wow, it feels good, so smooth, so satisfying. Yeah, I know. I like to get my hands dirty from time to time, so I don't mind having all of that powdery stuff, that good stuff, you know. So just having the feel. Okay, right. So I'm putting that aside. It's done. Okay, and let's get to recycling here. Let's save Mother Earth. So the excess material goes back into the bowl. There you go. Okay, so we're gonna use it. We're still gonna use it after all of that. The shavings and the you know the dust particles from the all of that scrubbing and sanding. We're still gonna use that. Yes. Okay. Julius is efficient. Okay. Uh, all of that material we don't want to go. We don't let it go to waste. So here, okay, we have an empty material. So we're gonna use our magic. Okay. To ta-da! The magic of editing. Okay. We're gonna use our newfound material. Okay, again, 2 parts cement, white cement. Okay, all right. Now, on this mixture, we're gonna make a little bit of exception here. So we're gonna add a little bit more water than usual. Why? We want the mixture to be a little bit liquefied because we're gonna use this funnel over here. This funnel would direct the material to our target, which is the sides of the sculpture. So if the material is too thick, it won't run through. So we need the material to be, the mixture to be runny so that it can make its way through the uh, spaces in between the sculpture and the mold. Now, the trick here, it is really have to be the right amount. Why? You can't overdo it because if you do, it will make cracks. The excess water will make cracks. So we have to be very careful. Again, stir lightly. Okay, and make sure all of the material is incorporated in your mixture. Okay, I think I got the whole thing ready. All right. All right, we got our mold here, and this is the funnel. This is very tricky. I wish I had the third hand, because you see what I mean. Okay, so I'm just slipping it in between the mold and the sculpture and gently pouring it in. All right, now I'm gonna have to take it off and just really guide it through because it's very thin. The space in between is very thin, and we can't afford that there's an uneven distribution. Why? We don't want to waste material, and of course, we want to keep the sanding minimal, and so that the touch up would be even. It's hard to touch up if there's some uneven surfaces. Oops. Okay. Balance, grasshopper. Okay. Okay. All right. I think this is the part where something got stuck. I think there was a piece, okay, that solidified and blocked the funnel. So I'm using my paintbrush here to unblock the funnel. It happens. Don't worry. Okay, it happens. Especially when your material dries quickly. Um, let's see. I think plaster of Paris dries very quickly as compared to cement. Okay, but the good thing about white cement, because of the lime, it kind of crystallizes a little quicker than cement, regular cement, but not as fast as compared to plaster Paris. Based from my experience, of course. All right, so just a little bit there, a dab here and there, making sure it's even. So at a certain point, the funnel will do its thing at a certain level. But when it on the surface level, we're gonna have to like use the spatula and just manually guide it. All right, this is the part where it's very tough because the angle. So you're gonna encounter some obstructions depending on your sculpture. So be prepared. So okay, so this is at a like 30-degree angle, which is so difficult because I have it's it's really hard to pour in at that angle because there's a tendency that the funnel would be off balance and then you lose material. Okay, fortunately it kind of I haven't toppled the funnel yet, so so far so good. Okay, now here's where the funnel can't work anymore because one, there's just leftover materials, and then we're gonna have to scrape it all out. Oh, I think I got something stuck again. So it happens. Sometimes there's a clump, an unexpected clump, and it kind of blocks the pathway of the funnel, and you just gotta push it out. So in this case, we have less material, and we're gonna have to just pour it in. All right. Okay. So the back of the sculpture is a little bit tight because it's thicker compared to the front. So there's very little room for me to wiggle. So I'm gonna have to like scrape it off and then dip it in. Scrape up the material and then dip it in to get it through. Okay. Now it's gonna leave some excess material, like some drip marks on the side, but um, it's okay because it's gonna be minimal work. It can easily be sanded, or while I'm doing some retouch on the sculpture, I can smoothen it out with my fingers just by getting some water and try to flatten it out with my fingers. Okay, so it's very easy. Okay, just try to guide it from side to side. Now, the nice thing about having using plastic or acrylic plastic to to be your mold is because it's transparent, and the good thing about it is you can see through the sides as compared to cardboards. When you're using cardboards, you just pray to God that all of the material is right where it's supposed to be. You can understand my frustration there. So you just pray to God that all of the material is right, lands where it's supposed to be, and there's no gaps. Now, so there's a little bit of kind of unknown there. So with the transparent acrylic um, plastic, you can see through the sides. So where the material is like uneven, or if there's some bubbling, or if the material has gaps, and you can easily address it. Okay. Now, here I am, again, touching up. I have excess material uh, on my bowl here. So I'm going to touch up some of the bubbles on the sculpture. And again, the wet fingers technique. So smoothing it out, okay, so that it would be easier for the sanding process, less effort. So if you prepare your material and you did your sculpture with a lot of thought and a lot of you know effort, it becomes easier. Okay, let's take out all of the materials, and put it on the drying rack. Me tidying up. I'm a neat freak. Okay, and here we have, this is the finished sculpture. Okay, so it looks good. It's not painted yet, but we have our base. Okay, we have the sculpture base, and it looks good. It's smooth, it's white, it's solid. Okay, and here's the photo op for the thumbnail. Thank you for watching.